The boy isn't your biological son. That sentence cut through my mind like a blade, leaving behind a cold, hollow emptiness in my chest. I stood frozen in the hospital hallway, my legs rooted to the icy stone floor. Lucas, my 4-year-old son, the boy I loved more than my own life, was lying in the emergency room. His tiny body burned with fever so high, I could feel the heat radiating from his fragile skin. His little fingers still gripped my hand tightly, as if terrified I might let go. The doctor looked at me, his eyes filled with hesitation and pity. The boy's blood type is AB+. With your blood type and your wife's, biologically, that's impossible. Emily stood next to me, her hands clenched so tight her knuckles turned white, her lips pressed together, too tightly to speak. I glanced down at her hand. Her ring finger was bare. The wedding band had disappeared. Have I been living a lie for the past 5 years? I turned to Emily. Her eyes darted away, that panicked, guilty look of someone hiding a truth too heavy to confess. I recommend you do a DNA test to be sure, the doctor said quietly. Everything around me slowed down, like a film playing in slow motion. The overhead announcements, the sound of nurses' footsteps, the rain pounding on the glass roof, all of it blurred into a distorted hum in my ears. I didn't know it yet, but 5 minutes later, my entire world would collapse in a way I never imagined. Lucas let out a soft whimper in his sleep. His tiny voice called out to me, "Daddy?" My heart twisted painfully. Am I still his father? Or just a man who'd been deceived for 5 long years? And in that very moment, I understood. The woman I loved most had been keeping a secret, powerful enough to destroy everything. My name is David. I'm 36 years old, a banker in a small town in Ohio. I thought my life had finally settled down, that after all the losses, I had found a place I could call home. I lost my parents when I was 19. A car accident took them from me in an instant. Since then, I'd grown used to spending holidays alone. Thanksgiving, Christmas. It was always just me and a cold, empty apartment. Then Emily came into my life. I met her on a quiet March afternoon, at my usual coffee shop, the place where I like to sit and work. Emily walked in wearing a pale blue dress, her brown hair falling in loose waves around her shoulders, a faintly sad smile on her lips. I don't know why, but my heart started pounding the moment I saw her. We fell in love quickly. Emily once told me, "You make me feel safe," in a way I've never felt before. 3 years later, we got married. It was a small, simple wedding. I had no family left, except a few close friends. Emily only had her mother, Susan, there with her. I still remember the night before our wedding. Emily vanished. She didn't answer my calls, didn't respond to my dozens of texts. By morning, she returned, her face pale, eyes swollen and red. "I'm sorry. I just needed one quiet night to think about everything," she said softly. I pushed away every doubt I had. I loved Emily so much that as long as she stayed, I was willing to forget it all. A year later, Lucas was born. I still remember the first time I held him. His tiny body trembled slightly, those dark eyes staring up at me, his little hand wrapped tightly around my finger, as if he was afraid I might let him go. In that moment, I made a promise to myself. No matter what happens, I'll be a good father. The early years of our marriage passed peacefully. I worked long hours at the bank. Emily stayed home with Lucas. She was an incredible mother, patient, gentle, always putting our son first. But sometimes, there was something in Emily's eyes that didn't feel right. At night, as I held Lucas and drifted off to sleep, I'd wake up to see Emily staring blankly out the window. Her expression, empty. I'm not the kind of man who's quick to doubt. To me, marriage is built on trust, more than anything else. But sometimes, there were fleeting moments when a strange cloud passed over my family, and every time, I brushed it away, as if ignoring it might make it disappear. I remember one day, when Lucas was 2 years old, we were shopping at the grocery store. An older woman nearby smiled at Lucas, then glanced at me and said, "Such a handsome little boy, but he doesn't look anything like his dad." Emily froze, just for a second. Then she burst into laughter, her hand tightening around mine. "He probably takes after me. Lucky for us, right?" I laughed along, but deep inside, I felt a sharp twinge, like a tiny shard of glass cutting into me. One night, I woke up in the middle of the night and didn't see Emily in bed. Lucas had a mild fever, his cheeks flushed, his little body trembling in my arms. I held him close, rocking him gently. My eyes fixed on the bedroom door. 15 minutes passed. 30. An hour. Then Emily returned, her face carrying a fleeting hint of panic. "Where were you?" I asked. She forced a small smile. "I just stepped out to get something. Sorry I took so long." I nodded, said nothing more. But that night, I lay awake, listening to Lucas's steady breathing, my chest heavy as stone. Another evening, while tidying up the room, I found a small wooden box in Emily's drawer. I hesitated, then opened it. My heart stopped. Inside were old photographs. One showed a younger Emily, her head resting on the shoulder of a man I didn't recognize. In their arms, a newborn Lucas. I turned the photo over. There, scrawled in ink, was a single line. "The boy looks more like me than you'd think." My hands trembled, the photo nearly slipping from my grasp. I wanted to confront Emily right then, but through the crack in the door, I saw Lucas asleep, his tiny hands clutching the stuffed bear I'd bought him for his birthday. If this is just a misunderstanding, am I ready to destroy everything over it? I put the photo back in the box, slid it deep into the drawer, and closed it. For the first time in my life, I realized how terrified I was of the truth. Then came that night. Lucas burned with fever, his little body hot as fire. I carried him in my arms, racing to the hospital. Emily followed close behind, her face pale with fear. "Don't worry, our boy is strong. It's probably just the flu," she said, her voice trembling. The doctor ordered a blood test before starting IV fluids. I nodded frantically, desperate for my son to pull through. But 20 minutes later, the doctor stepped out, holding a file in his hands. His face weighed down with something heavy, and when he looked me straight in the eye, I never imagined that a single sentence would shatter the small world I had fought to hold together for 5 years. "Mr. David, I need to speak with you. Now." The doctor stood in front of me, his voice sharp, urgent. I nodded, leaving Emily in the ICU with Lucas, and followed him down a quiet hallway. "Your blood type is O negative, correct?" "Yes." "My wife is O negative too." "Why?" The doctor took a deep breath, then looked straight into my eyes. "Lucas needs an urgent blood transfusion, but his blood type is AB positive. Biologically, with 2 parents who are type O, this is impossible." My chest tightened. "You're mistaken. That's my son!" I nearly shouted. The doctor placed a hand on my shoulder, his voice dropping. "I'm sorry, but we've checked 3 times. You're not a match. We'll need to contact the boy's biological father, if you know who that is." The world around me blurred. The hospital intercom, the rush of footsteps, all melted into a tangled mess of distorted sounds. I walked back into the ICU like a ghost. Emily sat by the bed, holding Lucas's tiny hand, her eyes red and swollen. When she saw me, something flickered across her face. "Worry? Fear? What did the doctor say?" Emily asked, her voice trembling. I swallowed hard, forcing my voice to stay steady. "They said Lucas just needs rest. I'll handle some paperwork." As I turned to leave, I caught a glimpse of Emily pulling out her phone. Her fingers moved quickly across the screen. A message was sent. She slipped the phone away just as I glanced back. Who did she text? And why does her face look like it's about to break apart? I sat by Lucas's bed the entire night. The boy stirred in his fever, his dry lips whispering, "Daddy, don't leave me." The words tightened around my heart, like a vice. I held his tiny hand in mine, letting my tears fall onto his fragile fingers. If this is true, if I'm not his biological father, then what am I in his life? I glanced at Emily. She had drifted off, slumped in the chair, her face drawn and weary. I couldn't tell if it was from our son's illness or from the weight of a secret she'd been hiding from me. I didn't sleep at all that night, because I knew when the sun came up, I'd have to ask Emily the one question I'd avoided for 5 years. The pale morning light spilled through the hospital window, falling across Lucas's feverish face. He was still sleeping, his tiny hands clutching the stuffed bear. I sat there after a sleepless night, knowing I couldn't stay silent anymore. "Emily," my voice was hoarse, raw. She looked up, her eyes swollen and red from crying all night. "What is it?" she asked softly. I drew a deep breath, each word dragging out of me like a stone. "Emily, is Lucas really my son?" She froze. Her eyes flickered wildly, like I'd slapped her hard. But in an instant, she jumped to her feet, her voice sharp and rising. "What? What kind of question is that? Have you lost your mind?" "Don't avoid this, Emily." My tone hardened. Lucas's blood type doesn't match mine. Or yours. The doctor said biologically, it's impossible. You believe a doctor over your own wife? She screamed, her hands trembling. I reached into my pocket, pulled out the test results, and slammed them on the table. I believe this. Emily stared at the paper, her hand covering her mouth as tears welled up. For a moment, I thought she might keep denying it. But then her body crumpled, and she sank into the chair, her sobs catching in her throat. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I wanted to tell you years ago, but I was scared. Scared of losing you. I stood still, feeling my heart squeeze tight in my chest, each beat burning like fire. Ryan, she whispered. Lucas, he's Ryan's son. My ex. The name stabbed through me like a blade. Ryan, the man Emily had once mentioned briefly, then quickly brushed aside. Whenever I asked. He left me when I told him I was pregnant. I panicked. And then you came along. You were gentle, patient. You made me feel safe. All I wanted was to keep you. Did you ever think about me? I asked, my voice low, but laced with fire. Did you ever think about how this truth would one day destroy me? Emily broke down, her sobs loud and messy. I'm sorry. But Ryan, he's found me. He knows, and he wants to see Lucas. I froze. See Lucas? What do you mean? He says. He wants to be Lucas's father. My chest felt heavy, as if lead was weighing me down. For 5 years, I'd loved and raised Lucas as my own. And now, the man who'd abandoned Emily wanted to take my place. I turned to look at Lucas. This little boy still lost in sleep, his tiny fingers twitching, like they were reaching for my hand. If I'm not his biological father, then what am I in his life? I turned away, my legs trembling beneath me. I need some time. David, please don't go, Emily cried out, grabbing my arm. I pulled free, walking toward the door. Where are you going? She asked, her voice cracking. I don't know, I said quietly, my eyes fixed on the gray sky outside the window. As I stepped through the door, a weak, fragile voice called out from behind me. Daddy, don't leave me. It was Lucas. Even in his fevered sleep, he was calling for me. My jaw clenched, every muscle in my body tightening painfully. But I kept walking. For 5 years, I thought I was the luckiest man alive. But in a single night, everything I believed in collapsed. And worst of all, I don't even know if I'm still Lucas's father. I walked briskly down the damp street, each step heavy as stone. Lucas's weak voice echoed in my head. Daddy, don't leave me. I wanted to turn back, to hold him tight and whisper, I'm not going anywhere, son. But then Emily's words came crashing back. Lucas is Ryan's son. I pushed open the door to a nearly empty cafe, sitting in silence as the coffee in front of me grew cold. Memories flooded in. Lucas's tiny hands clutching mine as I taught him to walk, his bright laughter as he sat on my shoulders, and the way he whispered, I love you, Dad, before falling asleep. 5 years? Did any of it ever mean anything? My phone buzzed. Emily. I didn't answer. Then a message flashed on the screen. Ryan came to the hospital. He wants to see Lucas. My grip tightened around the phone, until my knuckles turned white. He abandoned her 5 years ago, and now he comes back, claiming his son. I shot out of the cafe and rushed back to the hospital. Through the glass door, I saw Emily standing by Lucas's bed, tears brimming in her eyes, and in front of her, a tall man, confident posture, his sharp eyes calculating. Ryan. I pushed the door open. The room froze. Emily flinched. Ryan turned slowly, his gaze cold, piercing. You're David? He spoke first, his voice low and assured. That's right. And you're Ryan? I replied, struggling to hold down the anger burning in my chest. Yes, I came to see my son. He emphasized my son like a punch to the gut. Your son? I let out a cold laugh. Do you remember where you were? When Emily was pregnant? When she gave birth? When Lucas was sick? Do you know how many nights I stayed awake by his side? Ryan narrowed his eyes, his tone calm but dripping with contempt. You really think years of playing dad can rewrite biology? Blood is blood, David. You were just a placeholder. My jaw clenched tight, my fists curled until they trembled. Please, stop fighting in here. Emily burst into tears, standing between us. Lucas, he'll hear you. But it was too late. Lucas stirred, his tiny voice breaking the silence. Daddy? Who's that man? Why's Mommy crying? We all froze. My heart twisted as I saw his small hand reach out toward me. "If you think blood makes you a father, then prove you deserve him more than I do," I growled. My eyes locked on Ryan, burning red with rage. The air in the hospital room was thick, as if a single deep breath could ignite an explosion. Lucas lay there, his small eyes fluttering open, his tiny hand reaching into the air. "Daddy, who's this man? Why is Mommy crying?" My throat tightened. The rage boiling in my chest suddenly melted into a hollow, nameless pain. Emily quickly leaned down to comfort him, her voice trembling. "It's okay, baby. Mommy's just tired." Ryan stepped forward, his eyes sharp as blades. "David, I'm not here to fight. I'm here to claim my son. He is my blood. You can't change that." "Blood?" I let out a bitter laugh, my voice cracking under the weight. For 5 years, through Emily's pregnancy, through fevers and sleepless nights, through his first steps. Where were you, Ryan? Do you know how many nights I stayed awake, holding him as he cried? Ryan narrowed his eyes, his tone calm but laced with venom. "You really think changing diapers and rocking him to sleep makes you his father? You're nothing but a temporary stand-in. I'm his real father." My fists clenched so tight they trembled, every muscle in my body straining to keep control. A single hot tear slipped down my cheek, but I wiped it away before anyone could see. Emily burst into tears, grabbing my arm. "David, please don't. Don't make a scene. Lucas will be scared. Please." Ryan pulled out his phone, his voice cold and steady. "I have money. I have top lawyers. If you don't let me claim my son, I'll take you to court. You have no rights here. Do you really think a man who isn't even blood stands a chance in front of a judge?" Emily gasped, horrified. "Ryan, you can't do this. Lucas needs David. He loves him." "Love?" Ryan sneered. "When he grows up, he'll learn the truth. And then he'll hate you both." Lucas stirred, his little voice breaking the tense silence. "Daddy, is he my daddy too?" The question sliced through me, like a knife. I dropped to my knees, grabbing Lucas's tiny hand, my voice breaking. "No, you only have one daddy." I took a deep breath, then turned my gaze to Ryan, my eyes burning red with fury. "You think blood makes you a father? Then prove it. Prove you deserve to be his dad more than I do." Ryan froze, his confident eyes flickering for a split second. Emily clutched my arm tighter, her tear-filled eyes pleading. "David, don't leave him. Lucas needs you." I turned to her, my voice low and sharp as a blade. "And you? Did you ever think about what this did to me? Do you even realize how you've shattered my trust?" Emily trembled, her lips quivering as if to speak. Then a whisper escaped her mouth. "David, I think I'm pregnant." That sentence was the final blade. I didn't know if the child inside her was mine or not. And in that moment, I understood. Sometimes, love isn't enough to piece a shattered heart back together. I stepped out of the hospital. The night air cut sharp against my face, but it wasn't enough to cool the burning in my chest. Each step felt like dragging stones. Lucas's fragile voice echoed in my head. "Daddy, is he my daddy too?" I sank onto a park bench outside the hospital, my hands gripping my head. My chest ached, as if someone was squeezing the life out of it. Hot tears fell onto my palms. 5 years. I called him my son. I gave him all of me. And now, was it all just a cruel joke? My phone buzzed. A message from Emily. "David, please come back. There's something I haven't told you. Something that changes everything." Then another message appeared, but not from her. "Ryan, you have 24 hours to walk away from their lives. If not, I'll see you in court." I gripped the phone so tight, my knuckles turned white. A chill ran down my spine. He really wants to take everything, even though he's the one who walked away from them. I went back to the hospital. Ryan was gone. Emily sat by Lucas's bed, her red, swollen eyes fixed on our boy. She held him close, as if terrified someone might take him away. "David." Her voice cracked. "Will you let me explain? There's something you need to know, before it's too late." I stood frozen, my hands still trembling from Ryan's message. The day I found out I was pregnant, Ryan tried to force me to have an abortion. He said he wasn't ready to be a father. I went to the clinic, but when the nurse asked if I was sure, I couldn't do it. I took a deep breath, trying to quiet the heaviness in my chest. "Then why didn't you tell me? Why did you let me live in a lie for 5 years? Emily broke down, her tears falling onto Lucas's tiny hands. "I was scared. Scared you'd leave me, just like Ryan did. But David, I swear, since that day, I've never betrayed you. I sat down beside the bed, my hand reaching for Lucas's tiny fingers. But then I pulled away, as if his touch burned my skin. Am I still his father? Or just a stranger in his life? Emily sobbed harder, her eyes full of desperation. David, maybe we were wrong. I froze, staring straight into her tearful eyes. Wrong? What do you mean? Ryan. He might not be Lucas's father. Before Ryan, I was seeing someone else. And Lucas's blood type is AB+. David, I think you might be his biological father. Please, just take a DNA test. If Lucas is yours, I'm begging you, don't leave us. Her voice broke into a whisper, barely audible, over the hum of the machines. The hospital room fell silent after Emily's words. David, I think Lucas might be your biological son. My heart pounded in my chest, cold sweat forming on my forehead. I didn't know whether to feel relief, hope, or fear. Please, take the DNA test. I'm begging you. Emily clutched my hand, her voice trembling. I slowly pulled my hand away. In my mind, images of Lucas flashed like an old film reel, his bright eyes lighting up every time he called me Daddy. The nights I stayed awake, rocking him to sleep during his fevers. And that innocent question, still cutting through my soul. Daddy, is he my daddy too? If Lucas isn't my biological son, am I still his father? 3 days later, I sat in my car, gripping the DNA results envelope, my heart pounding so hard it hurt to breathe. Whatever the result, I have to face it. I took a deep breath and slowly tore open the envelope, my eyes locked on the bold words. Paternity confirmed. Lucas is my son. Tears broke free, streaming down my face. The pain, the doubts, the sleepless nights, all of it washed away in an instant. I walked back into the hospital room. Emily looked up at me, her red, swollen eyes full of fear. David, what did it say? I didn't answer. Instead, I stepped to Lucas's bedside. He was still fast asleep, his tiny hand reaching out unconsciously toward me. I took his hand gently, whispering, Daddy's here. I'm not leaving you again. Suddenly, a knock echoed through the room. Emily and I both flinched. Ryan stood in the doorway, his figure looming, his eyes dark and sharp. Congratulations, he said flatly, a hint of mockery in his voice. But don't think you've won. Why are you here? I growled. You think I came back for Lucas? Ryan stepped forward, a cold smirk curling on his lips. I knew he wasn't my son long before now, but I still came back. Just to make you pay, Emily, for walking away from me. Emily recoiled, her eyes wide in horror. What? What are you saying? I lost everything because of you. Now I'll take back everything, including the baby in your belly. Ryan's voice was calm, but every word cut like a blade. I stepped in front of Emily, my eyes burning with rage. If you want to get to them, you'll have to go through me first. Ryan let out a cold laugh, his eyes narrowing. I'll see you in court. This time, I'm not here to ask. I'm here to take. I thought the DNA results would end the nightmare, but now I realize the real nightmare is just beginning. Ryan walked out, leaving the hospital room heavy with suffocating silence. Emily sank to the floor, clutching her belly with trembling hands, her face pale and vacant. I stood frozen, my fists clenched so tight, my nails dug into my palms until they bled. He knows Lucas isn't his son, yet he still came back, just to punish Emily, and to take away the child that hasn't even been born. 2 days later, Emily and I sat in the lawyer's office. The room was so quiet, I could hear the ticking of the clock on the wall. Ryan has filed a lawsuit, the lawyer said gravely. He's requesting a DNA test for Emily's unborn baby, and he's petitioning for custody of Lucas, arguing that, legally, you were never his biological father. Emily broke down in tears. I squeezed her trembling hand, but deep inside, my mind was a tangled mess. If the baby isn't mine, will I still have the strength to hold this family together? That night, I stood silently beside Lucas's bed, watching him sleep peacefully. His tiny hand gripped my finger so tightly, it felt like he was anchoring me to this world. Do you know, son? Daddy is ready to fight the entire world to keep you. But I'm scared. If the truth turns out cruel again, I might not survive it. Lucas stirred in his sleep, murmuring softly, Daddy, don't let him take me away. My chest tightened. I leaned down, resting my hand gently on his soft hair, whispering through the lump in my throat, I promise. I won't let anyone take you from me." Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a shadow at the doorway. Ryan. He stood there with his arms crossed, leaning casually against the wall, his cold gaze fixed on me like a predator stalking its prey. When our eyes met, he smirked faintly, then turned and walked away. He came here just to plant more fear in my heart. The next morning, Emily sat on the hospital bed, her trembling hands resting on her stomach. "David." Her voice was faint, almost breaking. "I'm sorry for letting things get this far. I'm scared. Scared of losing you. Scared of losing everything. I just need the truth, Emily." My voice was low, heavy. "No matter how cruel it is, I need to know." Emily nodded slowly, her tear-filled eyes locking onto mine, as if searching for a final flicker of hope. "If the baby isn't mine, will I have the strength to stay? Or this time, will I finally walk away?" I thought to myself, as I watched the technician carry away the vial of DNA samples. 1 week later, the courtroom was packed. The sound of the gavel echoed, hammering straight into my chest. Across the aisle, Ryan sat with his legs crossed, his cold eyes fixed on me, a smug smile tugging at the corner of his lips. Emily sat close beside me, her trembling hands gripping my arm tight. This is where everything ends, or begins again. Ryan's lawyer stood, his voice sharp as a blade. "Your Honor, my client requests a DNA test for the child Emily is carrying. He has the financial and emotional means to raise both Lucas and the unborn baby." I clenched my fists, my nails digging deep into my palms. "He doesn't want Lucas. He just wants to win." To watch me break, my lawyer rose to respond, his tone calm but firm. "David has raised Lucas since the day he was born. He is the only man Lucas has ever called Daddy, and the DNA results confirm that David is Lucas's biological father." Suddenly, small footsteps echoed through the courtroom. I turned and froze. Lucas. He was running straight toward me. "Daddy!" he cried out, his tiny arms wrapping tightly around my legs. The entire room went still. My heart burst wide open as I looked down into those pure, trusting eyes. No one will take him from me. Not at any cost. During recess, Ryan stepped up close, his voice low, each word hissing through clenched teeth. "You think winning one battle means it's over? I don't care about Lucas, but I'll be back when you're weakest. And then, I'll take everything from you." I stared straight into his eyes, for the first time without fear. "You have money, you have power, but I have something you'll never have. The love that boy has for me." Ryan's smirk faltered. His eyes darkened as he turned and walked away, leaving the air thick behind him. Back in court, the judge struck the gavel, his voice firm and final. "Based on DNA results and all relevant factors, this court declares David to be Lucas's legal father. The plaintiff's request is denied." Emily broke down, collapsing to her knees in front of me. "David, I'm sorry. I know I don't deserve you. But please, don't leave us." I knelt and helped her to her feet, though my eyes drifted into the distance. "I once thought of walking away, Emily. But then I realized, forgiveness isn't about whether you deserve it. It's about setting myself free from this pain. I don't know what the future holds. But when Lucas hugged me that day, I understood. Not everyone who shares your blood deserves to be called a father. But those who love unconditionally will always be family." That afternoon, I sat alone on the familiar wooden chair in the backyard. The late sunlight filtered through the trees, painting soft golden streaks across the damp earth. In my hand was Lucas's favorite toy car, its red paint chipped from years of use. The house felt unusually quiet. Emily was resting in the bedroom, her pregnancy now entering its 4th month. Lucas was napping too, his gentle breaths as steady as a passing breeze. I tilted my head back, gazing at the sky painted in hues of fiery orange. My heart still carried cracks that hadn't yet healed. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means learning to set the pain down, so your hands are free to hold what's still left. Some nights, I wake up to the sound of my own heart pounding. In the haze of half-dreams, I see Ryan standing there, his cold eyes, his threatening smile. I don't know if he'll ever come back. But I know this. I'm no longer the weak man I used to be. The door creaked open softly. Lucas stepped outside, his hair messy, his sleepy eyes scanning the yard. When he spotted me, he ran forward and wrapped his tiny arms around me. "Daddy, I dreamed you left. Promise me you won't leave again. I crouched down, pulling his small body into my arms. The scent of milk and baby soap filled my lungs, making my chest ache. I promise. No matter what happens, Daddy isn't going anywhere. At the door, Emily stood silently, her hand resting on her belly, her eyes heavy with regret and longing. We locked eyes, and in her gaze I saw the conflict deep within her. She had betrayed me once, but she was also the one who chose to keep Lucas. When Ryan had demanded she end the pregnancy, maybe we both made mistakes, but if we don't have the courage to step past them, we'll lose everything. That evening, the three of us sat around the dinner table, the warm glow of the light spilling over Emily's and Lucas's faces. I placed my hand gently over hers, my voice low but firm. I don't know what the future holds, but I want to try again. Not because I'm afraid of losing, but because I want to hold on. Emily broke down, her shoulders shaking as tears streamed down her face. David, I promise, I'll never let you carry that pain again. I nodded slowly, the bitterness in my chest finally beginning to lift. Forgiveness isn't about whether she deserves it. It's about whether I deserve freedom from the pain. Late that night, I had just laid Lucas in bed when my phone chimed, a cold, hollow sound. An anonymous message flashed on the screen. You really think it's over? I'll be back when you're at your weakest. I stared at the words for a long time before locking the screen. Then I reached down, gently gripping Lucas's tiny hand. If he comes back, this time, I won't back down. I chose forgiveness. But if it were you, would you forgive? Or would you walk away?